Consulate. Black Dragons on attack, and we will have Encore on defense.
Now, the first thing you're going to notice is on the orange team, which is Encore, there are a couple names that don't look right. You see No Way,
Yeah.
C4, and Semchat. You recently enacted a thing where you can only change your name so many times.
Once every 30 days.
Once every 30 days.
I think is the thing.
And to the best of our knowledge, this was something that just happened a couple days ago, and because of that,
I think it was yesterday. Not 100% on that.
Some of these players are incapable of changing their name back within an allotted period of time. Now, of course, I don't know if there's going to be anything that comes in here because
we'll see what happens.
If they can't change their name for 30 days, then these are the names that they're going to be going to LAN with, which is an issue. So the name C4 that you see in the top there, the Ella at the moment, that is Sexy Cake. No Way, or No Period, the Mira player, that is Vision. And Sem that you see, who is currently the Pulse, the one who the camera is on at the moment, is Panico. So please bear with us here as we try to call them by their actual names that are not these nicknames that they're using right now.
Just going to go ahead and say please forgive me in advance when I, in the heat of the moment, it's going, oh, it's Sem. Nope, that is Panico. But all that aside, Steel, it's not going to change their performance today. It's not going to change how they're playing, I'm sure, as we do see the first kill of the round going into Psycho onto Blacks, who was peeking outside, it seems. A little bit of a risk there. Was that the A balcony, I think?
It's your Jaeger down. So you've lost a roamer.
Yeah.
Okay, not terrible. You still have Ella, who can play that aggressive site or roam if need be. And then, of course, you've got Panico right now also roaming. But Black Dragons, we said, is going to be a significant challenge. One of the best teams, one of the most consistent performers so far this season, have breezed their way now to the finals in commanding performances. Yeah. And for Encore, it's going to be a tough task against them.
It was an interesting peek out there from the Jaeger. Usually you won't see somebody run out. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that was on that A balcony, and that's a big risk. And going up against Black Dragons, I can understand enthusiasm and wanting to establish your dominance early on, but seems kind of a little weird when you're trying to word the very beginning of the match, trying to get yourself into the movements of how this is going to come out.
Now perched up top of the window here, you can already see that Vision going to get droned out. He's probably going to be the next to fall, I would assume, as they do a lot of drone detail on him. 3 drones surrounding the Mira of Vision.
We often see this Mira window stall up the attack on the windows of admin, but it's not going to do all that much.
He's going to get pressured from Psycho. You can see blinded, but if the smoke grenades there for Psycho, he's going to lose some of his health. He'll push Vision, and an easy kill. That'll put Black Dragons up by 2 now after the Jaeger had fallen earlier on in the round, and now they're going to be ready to push.
That is one of the most efficient Mira window takes I've seen into Cafeteria coming from admin so far this season.
So great for them. And that's going to leave, you can see they are employing Sexy Cake on site, playing the Ella. So what we'd mentioned before about the Legion not being an ideal or optimal pick for them is something that I'm assuming they've probably picked up on themselves, and now you can see a change in that regard.
Yeah, Sexy Cake being on the Ella, I think this is definitely going to be better for the team as a whole. I hope that he continues this trend, and we'll see if it works out for him, but it's more likely to be successful. I think they're reading into the fact that, yeah, we're playing Black Dragons right now. We have to take this entirely seriously. We can't do just what we want. And there you can see it already working out for Sexy Cake, getting the frag on the repelling Blackbeard. That's a very important kill.
He's going to have to try to pick Valve up now as we approach the final 30 seconds of round number 1. You can see that the smoke is down. It's crucial that they get him back to life, as those toxic babes are very important to preventing this push here now too. You can see Valve is going to sustain some damage, but managed to get one of those toxic grenades off. Kamikaze takes out Sexy Cake, but a refrag from Panico. You can see then he loses his life to Julio, and there's only one left. That's Valve, the smoke who was just picked up. He'll see Julio inside a bathroom. Gets a couple shots off, but can't finish the job. He's still got 2 other attackers nearby, and Psycho through the window on the balcony claims round number 1 on behalf of Black Dragons.
Yeah, you got to really attribute that round being so dominant to the fact that they got the early kill on the spawn-peeking Jaeger, and right after that, an extremely efficient clear into the admin office, not really getting stuck on the admin office facing Mirror window whatsoever. From there, it was a pretty standard take, and they took a lot of trades, but ultimately, because they had the early man advantage, it was not important that they went back and forth. Interesting that we saw a top floor defense first. I think it might have just been Encore trying to mix up the operator selection for the attackers, try to maybe force out a thermite, which ultimately is useless on a top floor attack. I'm not sure.
It could have been.
It seems like Black Dragons were preferencing it here as well, which is a little bit... I guess this is just where these two teams prefer to go.
Which we saw that there was a lot of basement and garage holds that were going on
Right.
in the last matchup on Font and BRK. So just a difference of teams here, of course. And you can tell that if you look at Encore's team composition, they're well equipped for both. Now, one of the questions you asked me was, do you think we're going to see a Ying here? The answer is yes.
Kind of interesting. I mean, they also have a Thermite, so obviously the intention was to be attacking a basement hold. Again, Thermite, in reality, doesn't afford you many choices on this attack. The only place I can see him being overly useful is if you're attacking the yellow stairs and you're trying to open up the wall into B. But other than that, he's not really doing much.
No, and how does the composition work with this team? You use your Ying. I'm assuming the Candela and Smoke is going to be very similar to what we saw from the Jackal when they pushed in and Psycho pushed in on top of that balcony. You just are able to cut that bomb site off. And if you don't have anybody playing underneath the C4 or you don't have those walls open up, make it very difficult for you to be able to do much in that site other than blind fire in. Of course, if you do have a smoke, you can always try to choke them out. But other than that, not a lot of recourse to stop them.
So interestingly, it seems like it's actually going to be a B-bomb side take here from Encore, which is a little bit... I mean, it's not what we've been seeing a lot on this top floor attack. It might just be because they have that Thermite. It also could be their plan. It's a totally reasonable attack strategy to come from the yellow stairs, try and open up the wall into B while covering from the windows, but they don't have a lot of, well, what we would consider ideal operators for that attack. A Blackbeard, for example, on the B windows is extremely useful in this assault.
Right, Blackbeard is an operator that has fallen out of the top 5, but one that we see surface a lot on Consulate, no matter the site, but most glaringly obvious on the upstairs in the Consulate office itself because of how important it is to hang him up on that window. I know we saw yesterday from Young how important it is. And what a nice pre-fire from Julio there, but Black's able to get down. First frag is going to go to Sexy Cake. That's a nice shot onto Julio, so you lose your Mira. And the first frag goes to the Hibana of Encore.
And so is the big problem with that connector window, a connector mirror window, is that you can so easily be assaulted from the window just adjacent.
I don't know if they're aware that the Jaeger is on top of yellow stairs. Kamikaze being obscured by that pillar, but two members of Encore looked like they were going to check for him, didn't see anything, and now will repel elsewhere as we hit the final minute of round number 2. Another kill is going to come out this time from PZD as iBlacks goes down. So we are an even 4v4, and Valve has sights on the Ella playing just by that mirror window, and you can see lined up for the headshot should Ella peek, but no. PZD will keep his head down. Final 40 seconds. He's in very good position there to be able to take out the Thatcher, but he'll repel back up. You can hear the smokes and Candela start to go off. PZD looking for a second kill, but is going to be evaded. And now he's going to get a second, though, onto Valve, so he says no way. He manages to take him down, and that's 3 for PZD at the moment. You can see that Kamikaze goes down now to Panico. And he's going to do battle with the Ella. Who wins? PZD gets a 4th. He's only got one more left. It's just him versus Sexy Cake to get that pivotal ace. Psycho is going to get taken down by Sexy Cake. And now you can see he'll rush in. Will PZD get it? No, time runs out. So a 4K and every single kill in the round going to the Ella of PZD. But Black Dragon's now up 2-0.
A very impressive round from PZD specifically. Unfortunately, it seemed like the composition from Encore attacking into that B bomb site was just not the right fit, I think, to say the least. I mean, here you can see from Black Dragons, they're doing a little bit more of a all-size-fits-all attack strategy lineup. Blackbeard, Hibana, Jackal, Thermite, Ash. You can still use those smokes to attack the basement, should that be where you're attacking. But if the defenders go to the top floor like they did in the past, and they were unsuccessful up there, Jackal is still useful in clearing out roamers. So I think Black Dragon's lineup makes a lot more sense on this map. You've got both of the hard destructors, and they're not going to hinder the assault whatsoever. They're also going to be still very effective, especially in attacking into Encore's now switch over to the basement. So this is what we've been seeing a lot more of for the Latin American region, this basement hold, and I'm curious to see how Encore is going to try to make it work for them, obviously being unsuccessful thus far.
They do have the advantage of knowing where they have to go, so they can't use it as an excuse that, oh, we got caught off guard, oh, we have an improper composition, with Black Dragons winning upstairs, unless they're going to go with lobby, which is very unlikely.
I mean, it's possible.
It is possible. We've seen it before, but I think it's safe to assume that at this point, you're going to stay safe and go downstairs, especially when you're Black Dragons looking to try to, or sorry, when you're Encore, rather.
Yeah. Also, I would argue that having a basement attack composition is much more... It works better on a lobby attack than a top floor attack.
I actually misspoke there. Sorry, I was assuming that Black Dragons was on defense. I got my name switched up.
Oh.
Encore now going downstairs because they weren't successful upstairs. So I was more so projecting for next round when Encore is going to have to work a composition in because Black Dragons were successful on defense. So
yeah, eventually we'll get there. But on this round, Black Dragons, again, they have that all-size-fits-all attack lineup, which I think is honestly a really impressive thing to come up with on Consulate, given the kind of night and day difference between a top floor and a basement hold in terms of what you really would like to have on the attacking side. Now, interesting thing here, 1 minute wasted for Black Dragons. Good job to Encore there, and so far no real pressure onto these roamers. It's because they're playing so much safer all the way over on the CEO side of the top floor. Black Dragons have already established control over the east, but they are very slowly progressing over to the west using that Jackal and the cover from PZD on the Blackbeard. They're worrisome, though, of the Yellow Stairs, and rightfully so, as we do have a Valkyrie playing there, waiting to apply pressure. This 2v2 is going to be very telling of who comes out on top in this round as a whole.
See, they have managed to find the Ela, or sorry, rather, and they are looking to try to hunt him down.
Wow.
He's going to get it. A nice shot from PZD, but a refrag from iBlax as Psycho goes down. And still, iBlax is up. Manages to escape down into Piano, loses a chunk of health, but still got the kill before fading away.
I think that's the right call.
It's a good trade. You lost your Ela, and Sexy Cake being down is going to hurt them, but you've taken Psycho down. You saw that he was very important in round number 1, got 3 kills, was helpful in hunting the roams down, and of course, that's the smokes off the board, too. Now, Kamikaze will add to that, as what little was left of Valkyrie will perish. iBlack's down, and that is an advantage in favor of Black Dragons at the moment with the final minute to go.
And then another kill there coming out from Panico. Onto PZD, also a very influential player for Black Dragons. The Blackbeard, I think, more importantly. So it's been an even trading ground here so far, but I think that Encore's been coming out on top overall because there's only 30 seconds left, and in this 3v3, all the pressure is going to be on Black Dragons as they have yet to open up this garage panel. That is going to influence this round significantly. The rest of Encore just waiting patiently. Now that the panel has been opened up, that's number 1. The push is going to start to come in from Black Dragons straight in through the panel. And Yellow Stairs. They've got a lot of different avenues, but not a lot of pushing power on any of them. As Julio drops down, he will be eliminated, downing No Way. Sem from behind going to finish off Kamikaze, and Wag taking out Valeris before being refragged there from Sem on those Yellow Stairs. The roam game there for Encore being so successful. And again, sorry, Sem is Panico. Good job to Panico with that double kill at the end.
It was a good hold. I think the biggest issue there for Black Dragons was just simply how long it took. It's almost inexcusable for you to take, you know, we see the thermite, the first thermite is going off when 31 seconds left to go. That's a huge problem.
I mean, you know, it's the sort of thing when you're attacking the basement and you know, yes, okay, we need to clear out the roamers upstairs. That's the goal. That's the first step. But ultimately, it's going to come down to your garage panel being open because, yes, you clear out the roamers, you force them down to the basement, but you need to make that push in through the actual garage panel. So, arguably, it's a lot easier to take a Thatcher and a Thermite, walk out to the garage panel in the first 30 seconds of the round, open it up like nothing ever happened, and simultaneously be clearing out the roamers. Then you could start to put those Thermite Thatcher onto their drones, clearing for the roam clear. I mean, it's the sort of thing is like you do it at the beginning of the round, and then you don't have to think about it leading into the end of the round, and it leads you a lot more doors open, quite literally. All that aside, though, first successful round for Encore, putting themselves finally on the board. Now a 2-1, seeming like a little bit more of a match here, ladies and gentlemen. Black Dragon's going to be defending the basement now as they needed to choose between the basement or the middle floor, and I think they made the right decision. Again, the basement being kind of the preferred bomb site for the majority of regions, specifically Latin America, though I would say, as they have been, well, of course, they've been playing Consulate more than anyone else, and they do really like that basement.
They brought a in regards to Encore, they have brought a composition that is going to do them wonders with attacking basement.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
They have no excuse now. You've got a Thatcher to be able to take care of those bandit charges. They don't have a bandit, so you don't have to worry about that. You've got a Ying as well to take advantage of that yawning garage once you get it open. And then, of course, you've got a Habana to hit the hatches from above and potentially be able to catch them off guard. I wonder with the way Consulate plays out if Latin America teams could get more usage out of playing more of Buck. I'm surprised that they don't take him all that often because we do see Buck here employed an awful lot, especially when pressuring the basement from Piano.
Buck is arguably one of the most useful operators on this specific attack for the basement, like you were talking about. Now, we did see, I believe, from Encore, from Black Dragons, when they were attacking the basement, they brought themselves a Jackal, and you could say that his secondary shotgun is comparable to that of Buck. I mean, it's not. It's not as good at destruction, but it works. It gets the job done. And in this instance, Encore doesn't really have any tool to make that happen unless they have breaching charges. Which is unlike, whoa, what the heck is happening? Sexy Cake pushing his way all the way into the mirror window, taking out Julio, and then Wag with another kill. Just coming in, I believe, from the... Where did he come in from? Psycho going to get the refrag onto Sexy Cake, but the damage is done, and the diffuser will go down. An extremely fast-paced round coming out here from Encore, catching Black Dragons off guard. Their roam game still upstairs, not in a position to retake this bomb site easily.
Black Dragons will have to fight off the fact that they are down by 1 while also working away at how far out of sight Encore is. And PZD is going to look for 1. You see Psycho's going to get a kill, and a run up, but he misses, and iBlacks gets a kill on a PZD. Psycho's able to take out Vision, though. So you can see now with Psycho running outside, they're going to try to cause a distraction. Valve is able to get 1 and 2 with the shred of health for the Thermite. It is 2-2. And this game is far from over.
Absolutely. Did you see where Sexy K came from? Because I did not. He just kind of appeared in the bomb site. He couldn't have come in through kitchen door. It was still reinforced. The drop downs were reinforced. It could have been the garage. Did he just run in through white van and nobody caught him?
Could have been Visa.
I think no, because it couldn't have been Visa because the kitchen door was reinforced. It had to have been he just sprinted in from the garage and just kind of nobody was watching the back of white van. That's what I think probably happened.
That could have been the case. The last I saw from Sexy Cake was that he was repelled up the console office windows, breaking them, and that was the last I saw. So, I mean, it could have been that he just came down yellow and pushed his way in.
Maybe he opened up that... maybe it was the bathroom drop and there was nobody playing inside a bathroom. I mean, whatever the case be, he just appeared in the bomb site and completely defanged that entire hold. He got rid of everybody in a position to delay that garage push. And then it was a simple case of the rest of Encore just waltzing in through garage. Let's play at the diffuser with the smoke cover. They didn't even need to use the Candelas.
No, I can't get over how easy that was. There was just no pressure whatsoever on that garage at all. And, of course, you know, you lost 2 right away. And I think, you said defanging it. I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, you had Sexy K walk right in and managed to take out 2 people who are pretty pivotal to that defense. You know, you lost a C4 in that exchange.
They were absolutely the linchpins.
You had somebody that sitting on yellow that got taken out. You had somebody that was sitting inside of that little office as well. And now Encore's playing better, and take a look at what Sexy Cake is going to run.
Yeah, that's great to see. Sexy Cake bringing back the Legion, but, you know, from a it's interesting and, you know, new perspective, not a, that instills a lot of confidence sort of perspective. In fact, it does quite the opposite for me. I think that's likely going to be telling of the future of these rounds. I have to be honest, his performance with Legion has not been up to par with his performance with legitimately any other defense operator. Whenever he brings an Ella, a Bandit, he seems to be so pivotal for his team. But unfortunately on Legion, he just hasn't been super impactful. I'd like to see that change. It would be quite interesting to have that be different moving forward. Oh, wow. Oh, no. Oh, no, Vision. That's
Julio.
Unfortunate. Some great play from Julio. Well-placed Twitch drone. Right time, right place. And unfortunately, a mirror window now completely dealt with. That's last time Black Dragons attacked into admin office. They did it so efficiently, and now they don't even have to worry about the mirror window.
You've opened it wide up. And at this point, Vision is going to be in trouble, especially when the one big difference, though, is that iBlacks is still up. So if you remember,
wow.
No, Vision steps out and PZD shreds him. And that is an immediate advantage in favor of Black Dragons. Sexy Cake will hold down the fort just inside of bomb site A and will now have to push outwards. And they've just completely forfeited all of this admin office here.
Yeah, and as Black Dragon slowly aggresses in through that admin office, they're not going to be met with any serious resistance unless you count Legion goo traps. And I personally don't. I think that they're not going to be slowing this up, especially with there's no one in position to capitalize on the fact that somebody has one in their foot. Black's challenging the Skylight from the bottom of Spiral. Not going to find anyone. Looking for the headshot of Psycho. And it's just a slow attack now from Black Dragons, not really characteristic of the Black Dragons we've seen in the past. And it's a little bit of buffering, guys. I apologize for this. We'll see what happens once we get... there it is. Welcome back to the match. Thank you so much.
You see, WAG is just a sliver of health, too. And that's one hit away from certain death. That's your Hibana, though. Not imperative that you need a Hibana right now, especially with the way that Black Dragons is playing. There isn't too much they're going to need to open up. However, Sexy Cake is found out, and it looks like PZD is going to be the one to be able to take him down. But no, very easy kill for Psycho there. The SMG-11 from the sledge before you see that PZD hits one of those goo mines. And now it's up to Valve to rotate into A, which he will do so with 30 seconds into round number 5. A tie game at the moment that is about to end. PZD gets shot from the pulse of Panico, who now seeks some shelter inside of admin, and the smoke grenade is going to get 2. PZD
No
and WAG
way.
go down as a good play from Valve to potentially keep his team alive. Now, in the midst of that, wow, 2 quick kills from Black Dragons as Valve and now Panico go down, and it's just iBlacks with a double kill on Julio and Psycho. It's a 1v1, Kamikaze versus iBlacks,
Oh!
and a nice clutch from the Jaeger of Encore to put them up 3-2, and their first lead here on Consulate.
Perfect positional play there from iBlacks. Well done indeed, reading that situation to a T. Doing it just right. That was a good job. Also, the smoke canister from Val, delaying the push in from the top of Visa stairs for so long and getting 2 kills. I mean, you gotta argue for a tiny bit of luck, but also that's... Okay, we talked about how not especially useful those Legion goo traps have been. They actually... just at the end there, it might have saved them the round because it downed the Ash, and then after the Ash had been downed, the Hibana on 1 HP swooped in to try and pick up his teammate. Oh, look! A gas canister. Beautiful play there from Encore, and finally some excellent use coming out from Legion. Really cool to see.
And this Encore team is looking a lot better than we've seen
They
them
woke up.
play before. Not just in this game itself, but look at that team performance right now. Vision is the only one at the moment who is not in the running for top frag on their team. And this is what I said before at the very beginning. You're going to need a full team effort in order for this to work, because you're against a team like Black Dragons that is capable of, very similar to a couple other teams, if you lose one, that's okay. You've got somebody else to really come in and pick up the pieces. Right now, Psycho is top fragging for them, which is excellent. But if you eliminate Psycho and his 8 kills go out the window, the whole rest of the team has to struggle to pick it up, at least at the moment, and they're not doing a sufficient enough job for the rest of the team to be able to carry that weight. So for Encore, their strength has been in how evenly paced their team has been with their killing potential.
And the funny thing about that is it's actually a complete reversal of roles with these two teams, because in the past for this season, it's been Black Dragons coordinating well as a unit, and Encore is struggling with that exact thing, is they're not coordinating nearly as much. So this is an interesting turn of events here. We'll see if it continues to play out, though. I mean, we're only 5 rounds in. We're on the 6th round now, of course, but we've only 5 results so far, and there's still plenty of match to be had.
A relatively small sample size. And yeah, one of the things that was very evident when we showed exactly how the team's potential had been at the very start was that Panico and Sexy Cake had the lion's share of kills for that team. It wasn't even close. These two were 100% the bona fide top fraggers for their team. And now you can see that everybody else has joined the race too, which
it was what you need.
And it can't be a flash in the pan, because then I believe their prospects would decrease, and Black Dragons would probably be able to take advantage of that. And we'll find out now. Black Dragons on defense, they've looked good on defense. I would wager that, with the exception of round number 1, they've probably looked better overall on defense than they have on attack, and it's going to be incumbent upon Encore to capitalize on that.
It's also incumbent upon Black Dragons to not peek around angles. So as you can see here, Sexy Cake just waiting for WAG to give him the opportunity. And it's given, but only in a very small interval, and WAG will get away without Sexy Cake hitting the shot. That's very lucky there in favor of Wag. That's going to mean he can play from below using his shotgun and gas canisters. Sem going to get the first kill of the round onto Psycho. That is, in fact, Panico. This is a correction. And here we have Candelas and Smokes laying down for the push.
1 minute, and what is essentially going to be the brunt of the offense. You've got Wag playing underneath. A bit unorthodox for a Smoke, but the first kill, and 2 answered very quickly. Kamikaze, and then Julio jumps on the board as well. Kamikaze gets another, and all of Encore is falling. Panico as well as Vision are the last 2 left. That Thatcher of Panico, very low. He's going to see Weg. And no, the Smoke prevails, and it's just up to the Ying, who knife from behind as PZD closes out round 6, and we are all tied up yet again, 3-3.
So that seems a little bit more typical Black Dragons. A good defense. They're not giving Encore a whole lot of opportunities. Also encountering the same lineup on that attack side from Encore that we've seen in the past attacking the top floor. That is really weird for me. For Encore, that they want to bring the Ying for a top floor attack. I don't see her as especially useful. We didn't see the Smokes weren't overly. They didn't change the outcome of the round in their favor in any way. The Candelas didn't change anything either. They delayed the retake from Black Dragons ever so slightly, but ultimately you could have done just about anything else and had it been more useful. That's it. That's really it. They're also attacking under the B-bomb site, which is a little bit strange. Usually in the meta right now, the primary form of attack is going towards the admin office and clearing over towards A, establishing a little bit of a crossfire between reception and the A balcony. But no, Encore trying to do their own thing, and it's just not working out for them on that top floor attack.
We'll see how well they're able to do downstairs. Now, another thing too is how much better I think Encore's defense has been to shut out Black Dragons, and it's not just that Black Dragons I think has been stalling, but I think it's that they've come up with a bit of loggerheads against a team that looks good on defense too. So both these teams much more proficient on defense. Valve not running the shotgun as Smoke is confusing. We don't often see that. He'll eschew the shotgun pick and instead go with Smoke's SMG along with the SMG-11 as well. So it's.
So the reason that we see less of the shotgun on Smoke is because the reason you had to bring the shotgun on Smoke in the past is because it was essential for site construction or deconstruction, however you want to look at that perspective-wise. Now you have impact grenades, and you have the secondary shotgun of Mira, which can fulfill those roles.
Right.
However, I would still argue for the Smoke shotgun, given that it's, I think, one of the best shotguns for PvP, like for killing the enemy team in the game. First kill of the round going to go on to Sexy Cake, using that Legion, so he's already making good use of it. Again, this is the first time we've seen him really erupt with Legion, and I think it's great to see. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Legion play from anybody in the entire, really, Pro League. He's kind of been ushered into a corner.
iBlacks adds to that too after you'd see the Legion of Sexy Cake get that Clay Pigeon kill on the repelled Ash. You've lost Psycho and Kamikaze, 2 of the top performers at the moment for Black Dragons. Not only do you have that killing potential off the board, but Ash and the Jackal down. That's your Smokes gone, as well as the ability to hunt roamers.
It's all of the roam clear planned from Black Dragons. You can tell because the rest of these guys, your utility and you're holding angles with that Blackbeard. Your Ash and your Jackal are specifically assigned to clear the top floor down, and now they can't do that. Now Black Dragons is going to have to focus entirely on pushing in through the garage panel, or they'll find themselves way too stretched thin.
It's a tricky prospect for them to have to try to blitz through that garage, and one thing that's going to make it incredibly difficult as well, the bandit charges. You don't have an Ash to be able to blow up from above. You don't have Bach to be able to shoot through that floor. You don't have a Sledge to do that. You don't have the secondary shotgun of a Jackal. And now Sexy Cake is going to get another, and Valve proving us wrong. Instead of using the shotgun, we'll get a kill. Julio finally gets on the board as he drops iBlacks, but it is 1v4, and that is daunting for him. A Claymore on the Wag as the Smoke gets a little bit greedy and peeks out and gets destroyed by Wag from the grave, but Julio still 1 minute to pick up that diffuser and get on the site or simply hunt down the rest. Now he does not technically need an ace clutch because Wag has gotten a kill here now, but he will at least try to put some phantom pressure from above as he opens up those hatches and causes them to have to worry about where he's coming from.
One thing is that he does have a good enough amount of time to, the potential is there for him to clutch this out.
And he'll finally get that hatch inside a bathroom. Final 30 seconds in round number 7. We move to match point no matter who wins, but just completely stalled out and looking like he's almost helpless, as if he doesn't know what his next move is going to be. And I mean, look at these angles being held. He's going to hit that and immediately get torn to pieces as Panico was waiting prepped and ready under that, and Encore now 1 round away from taking Consulate. This was their map, so this is exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, they needed to be taking at least their pick, and it seems like Encore is a lot more evenly matched with Black Dragons than the community poll would have given them credit. I mean, 29 to 71% in favor of Black Dragons, and we're seeing now it be a back and forth and back and forth. And that's really great to see from Encore. They are stepping out of what we're expecting from them, given their coordination has been a lot more on point. However, as we've talked about, the defense for both teams has been the favored side. Now, the last time we saw Encore attack to Black Dragon's hold of the basement, Sexy Cake got his way into the bomb site without any contention and managed to get 2 kills from behind. I sincerely doubt Black Dragons is going to allow that to happen this time, so this is going to be the first time that Black Dragons will have defended a basement in a manner in which they are not, hopefully for them at least, not leaving like blatant avenues to allow the hold to be picked apart open. They won't leave those open. Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe they will again, and we'll see just Sexy Cake run in and get 2 kills and completely tear apart the site hold.
I was going to say, if they're going to allow somebody from Encore to just waltz right in, their round is going to be over, and we're going to head to Oregon with Black Dragons facing the prospect of not going to LAN, which would be devastating for them, and especially how well and convincing they've played so far. And of course, Encore is looking to put a very significant, I guess, exclamation mark on a good season so far, especially Sexy Cake, who had left his previous team to join Encore, and what a story that would be if he was able to go to LAN with this new team of his, especially to prove the critics wrong that said, I mean, maybe it was a mistake for you to leave. Well, in this case, if you go to LAN, I don't think you can ever call it a mistake.
The first step in that process was, of course, beating Nox, which, again, while we didn't get to see that match, it was played off stream. So they did fair and square beat Nox Gaming in a 2-0. So he did prove at least to himself, if not everybody, that he made the right decision in moving teams. However, if you get to LAN, that's an even more significant thing. And then on top of that is the fact that, we talked about this before, the LAN is going to be in Brazil, their home country. So I think it means more to these teams that have been playing here today than anybody else, really.
No, and the stakes are highest for these teams because you want to represent them. It's going to be an enormous showing. You have, I think if they're able to do this, they're going to have a very good shot of potentially making it to the finals and even winning, simply based on the fact that they're going to have to do no adjustments to their own personal life and are going to be playing with the roar of thousands of people behind them.
Yeah, I mean, it's
every single round.
Exactly. It's like it's going to have one of the biggest crowds we've ever had for Rainbow Six competition, and it'll be natively Portuguese-speaking crowd. So it's going to be great for them as a team. Whomever makes it between all of the different teams. Of course, we already know that Font's making it, so this is the deciding for the second one, and this is where it all comes down to. Now, this round has been very slow. You can see there's already half of the round progressed, and we're only just now at the 1 minute mark, just about, having the second panel of Garage being opened up. And no engagements thus far. Here comes the first as we see Sexy Cake taking out Wag. Kamikaze with the refrag onto iBlacks. And another, thwarted. Kamikaze getting a double kill, finishing off Sexy Cake and stalling off that push from behind.
You can see it was very important there. Sexy Cake literally did the same thing. Walked down spiral stairs. Deja vu right there that he was going to walk right in and kill them all, but no. Blunted by iBlacks as that Jaeger steps up really big for his team. And Black Dragons facing potential loss on map number 1. So for them, that was crucial, and they now hold a 4v3. And you can see it's Sexy Cake is down, and Encore is just taking their time, and I don't know if they have the droning possibility to be able to push in. We're going to finally see the Ying be able to use all of her gadgets in earnest, and some smoke will come down, but Panico is now coming right down those stairs to hold. PZD comes in, the anti-flank from Panico. It's 3v3, a complete set of mayhem now as Psycho gets in on the fun by eliminating Vision, and now Julio with Valve. Black Dragons poised to be able to push this into overtime. It's all up to the Thatcher of Panico, who is miles off site, hit by that Elamine. We'll get a kill on the Kamikaze, but time will expire into overtime. Both of these teams will continue on.
So, honestly, this is what I expected. And we're seeing a very back and forth between these two teams. And this time, as you talked about, no Deja Vu, no Sexy Cake waltzing into the bomb site without any contention. that was completely delayed. Good job to Kamikaze there, stopping that in its tracks instead of roaming like he did last time, being on the bomb site, ready to receive Sexy Cake from behind. Now, 4-4, and it is going to be Black Dragons who get the defense first. I have to assume that because they got defense first, they're going to be the ones favored in this overtime, given that both the top floor and the bottom floor defense from Black Dragons has been very on point. The only attack win that I can recall Encore winning was when they were going into that attack of the basement. Again, that was due to a little bit of luck. Sexy Cake positioning himself well.
And it was a good start by Black Dragons, and Encore found their footing, and now we are evenly paced. And you can see there the kills starting to climb up for Black Dragons, all of them getting in on the action. And still a very consistent contest for both teams, in fact. Everybody pulling their weight and doing what is needed of them, which is what we should be expecting, really, in the playoffs. I don't know why anybody would be surprised by how close this is, because you know, if you're battle-tested, you're going to get to this point, and it's been said so many times, it bears being repeated, is that these teams are always so evenly matched that it comes really down to who is more prepared and who is having a bad day.
You know, back in my day, no, but really way, way back, it used to be the case that there were a lot of teams that would go into a match, and as you can see, Sexy Cake getting the first frag of this round. That bodes well for their attack. That's good for them. But yes, back in the day, there used to be a lot of instances in which a team would going up against another team in every region. It seemed to be a little bit more clear-cut from the get-go, because you know this team's better than that team, and we've gotten to the point in the Pro League where every single team is competitive. I mean, prime example, Infamy yesterday qualifying for LAN as the 8th seed in North America. That caught everyone off guard, beating out Rogue, and that is just telling of every single Pro League now for each of the regions now. I think that's a really awesome thing to see. The development has been tremendous.
A team that was literally fighting for its life in
close.
Relegations.
Yeah.
Loses its, oh no, a miscue from Sexy Cake there, but he'll make sure that the second doesn't miss. And a pre-fire from around the corner of Kamikaze is able to chunk a large amount of health. And wow, Wag, a good shot to finish him off. So not Kamikaze, but Wag, Psycho, and Julio now. It's a rally for Black Dragons. They find themselves up 4v2 at the moment, and it is they are in trouble. Kamikaze's going to add to that tally, and no way, no how. It's all up to Valve. Half the round still to play out, but it's just your Thermite left to clutch a 1v4. Yes, PZD fell very early as Sexy Cake got what looked to be a nice kill through one of the reinforcements on a peeking Ella. Yeah. But trouble now for Encore, who are going to be facing match point unless Valve can clutch this out for them.
And there's a bit of a psychological impact when you come off of attacking a basement into attacking a basement. You know, you're going into that transitioning into overtime. Of course, it's random who gets defense, who gets attack. There's a bit of a psychological impact doing the same round that you just lost. And I think it just hit Encore there. They got a little bit stalled out. Their attack strategy seemed to be not really that well coordinated as opposed to what we've seen of them throughout this map. And as a result now, I mean, a 1v4, it's kind of telling of where they've got to be feeling themselves. I mean, Valve is going to be taking this nice and slow. I mean, you got all that time to utilize. You may as well try, right? You can't just give up at this level of play. But he's got such a mountain to climb right now. Psycho going to be at the bottom of this Visa stairs, waiting for the opportunity. He will seize it. Valve being eliminated, and the round will go in favor of Black Dragons. 5-4 now. Looking like Black Dragons, I would argue, for a comeback. It's been an Encore favored map overall, I would say. There's been some pretty dominant Black Dragons rounds, but it seemed like Encore had the hands-on, and they were ready to win it, and it's just kind of fallen away now.
The last lead Black Dragons had was in round number 2, and now we find them getting it again, because after Encore stormed back, took the lead, it was constantly tied back and forth, but still with Encore having the advantage. And with Do or Die being a scenario, it looked like actually Sexy Cake was going to switch off of that Legion, but ended up sticking with it. Has been playing quite well on him so far today. And I know
we have to give credit.
This is a topic that has come up a couple times, and I hope that it's not too repetitive, but it's very important who you play, and if it's not working, you need to switch off. But today, the rare exception, this is the best performance I think we've seen on Legion so far. 9 kills, of course, tied up there with Panico, but Psycho, the story at the moment, 11 frags, a great job for his team. And that's been really boosting the spirits of Black Dragons, no doubt, as they are on match point. The final potential, what could be the final round here for them to push us into Oregon, but we said that before when Encore was on match point, so you never know.
Absolutely. I'm guessing what we're going to see here is likely to happen is, because again, it's been very defense-sided for both teams. We're likely to see Encore win this basement hold, and we're going to go to an upstairs hold for Black Dragons in the next round. That's what I'm predicting to happen. And that upstairs hold for Black Dragons has been successful, I think, every time because Encore focuses on the B-bomb site and they use Ying in a way that is not necessarily that great. It hasn't been helping them a lot. So my question is, if we get to that final round, that 5-5, will they still bring the Ying? Will they still go for the B side attack, or are they going to try something different? I really hope that they try something a little bit different because Black Dragons just seems to have a complete understanding of how to hold B bomb site.
The thing with me for Black Dragons too is the other option is to go into the lobby, and that's just
that would be vicious.
You don't risk that though. That's my thing. Is it's like unless you're very confident, you don't want to roll the die on that because it can go wrong so quickly for you.
My thing with the lobby defense is we've talked about this before. Consulate, every bomb site is totally defensible because you can defend it from up or below. I mean, if you're on the basement, you can defend it from 2 floors above. If you're on the top floor, you can defend it from 2 floors below. There's a lot of options, right? Ultimately, it's a rectangle of a map. So when you're defending the main lobby, you can defend it from below and above. And that's a little bit of a dynamic thing. But ultimately, yeah, I think Black Dragons has got to be confident on defending the lobby, but I don't expect them to do that mix-up. I think they're going to go with what they know has been working. A little bit of a disconnection there from Val, and that is unfortunate timing for Encore now. Got to put them in a 4-on-5. Half this round left to go. Black Dragons in 0 deficit so far. They have plenty of time, and they have successfully cleared out any roam game that would have happened on the top floor. Calling for remake, I don't think it's likely to happen. We'll see what the admins end up deciding. The truth of the matter is we're 2/3 of the way into this round, and it's unlikely.
It was 1 minute 30 off the board when he disconnected.
So halfway through.
For my understanding, the rehosts are not applicable at that late in the round. And as devastating as it is for Encore, because you know that you are facing now the prospect of losing your matchup and going to Oregon and potentially Border if we need a third, yeah, it's very defeating. But unfortunately, the rules are as stated that they will play on, and now you can see they will have to make do with being down 1. Not detrimental. I mean, it depends on what position Valve was playing as. You lose your smoke, which
is pretty big.
It's pretty big, but
they can still make it work.
You can still make it work, and right there, Panico has now made it so that we are tied up. So Encore still has a fighting chance, but Kamikaze eliminates Panico, and Black Dragons only has 3 more to go before they can close this map out. 15 seconds remaining in what could be our final round, and Encore just looking to hold on to the tidal wave of Black Dragons that will crash very shortly onto this site. A run out from Sexy Cake as Julio is able to get that C4 kill. A C4 gets WAG, but PZD is able to pick off iBlacks. It's a 1v3. The Mira of Vision will now need to work through the diffuser, as well as Julio, Kamikaze, and PZD. A tough task, and if he fails, map number 2 awaits us. You can hear that a Legion trap is hit. One of those goo mines exploding and will puncture the soul of a member of Black Dragons. Vision will give his position away before Julio finishes things off. A joint effort between him and the Blackbeard of Black Dragons. And now we have a situation where Encore has lost their first map, and now we head to the map favored by Black Dragons in a 6-4 scoreline.
And as you said, not only the first map, but their pick as well. So that's going to be pretty daunting for Encore. Moving on to the second map, it will be Oregon. That is, of course, Black Dragon's pick. Oregon, a map that I think kind of not going to really favor either of these teams, but obviously a little bit of preference. We don't have any highlights for you for that last map, but we will be moving on shortly to the second one. That match, oh my gosh, that match. It kind of felt like it was just constant falling into the repetition of each defense or attack. So Black Dragon were successful here, they weren't successful there. Encore were successful here, they weren't successful there. It really didn't seem like there was a lot of leeway or alteration on those rounds. When Encore was attacking the top floor, they weren't able to make it work. I mean, the one big upset I saw overall was when Encore successfully attacked that basement hold from Black Dragons. That really was the the sort of the changing. That's where we saw Encore sort of take the momentum, but they couldn't hold on to it because ultimately it was primarily a defender-sided map.
Yeah, and I think most of those rounds were pretty decisive too. I don't know if that's what you were also trying to touch at as
I
well.
mean, yeah, but yeah, they were decisive. And another thing is also on that last round, when did the Thermite open up the garage? 25 seconds.
Yeah.
25 seconds on the board. That's the same thing that Black Dragons did the last time they attacked the basement, and that's what cost them the round last time. In this instance, they still managed to walk away with it,
Right.
but still, there was a lot of repetition. There was a lot of lack of adjustment from both sides, I think.
There were very few rounds, if any at all, that spring to mind that I think could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd agree with that too, but I mean, like, this was a 6-4 that is reflected by that score line. This wasn't a map that I think could have closed out any earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
you can make an argument that if Valve hadn't disconnected and they would have had probably more of a fighting chance having the smoke, they wouldn't have been able to push their way in through garage because of where Valve was located.
I would counter with the argument that they've been unsuccessful in attacking the top floor throughout this entire map, and they have shown no, like, really capacity for adaptation on that top floor attack where they're going into the B bomb site. It's not worked for them at all. So regardless of if they had more success on the basement hold, if Val had not disconnected, I think going on to the attack of the top floor, they would have been met with the same lack of success that they've been met with every other time they've gone into that attack. I mean, it's just been a completely cut and dry. Every single Black Dragons is defending the top floor of the basement, they're successful. Encore is defending the top floor of the basement, they're successful. The one big mix-up, of course, being that one single attack from Encore going into that garage basement. But that was just, honestly, you could chalk it up to a bit of a stroke of luck. Sexy Cake being able to maneuver his way. Luck, but also really good maneuvering. I have to give a lot to Sexy Cake when he found himself in that position. A lot of people can't take the opportunities afforded them in that situation and won't go for it. So I don't know, but the map itself, strategy-wise, was pretty much just very plain. There wasn't a lot of big changes from either team.
No, and that's something that I think going into Oregon they're going to need to do, because Oregon is Consulate as a map that can have a number of different defenses on the same kind of site. But I think Oregon is really like, it's the map for me that you can see they can defend basement, but you can defend basement in 4 different ways.
Yeah.
You can defend upstairs in dorms, and you can do that 4 different ways as well.
The big question is, are they going to try and use those different ways, though? I mean, we've seen a lot of the time, like, again, to reference yesterday, Most Wanted, basement hold. They did 2 rounds on the basement hold of Oregon where they tried just everyone downstairs, right? And then 1 round where they forced everybody back upstairs. But again, at that point, it was too little too late, and none of those worked out for them. So, like, the variation is good, but do you think it's going to afford Encore enough maneuverability in terms of the potential to win, or do you think it's still just going to be a kind of a lockout in terms of strategy?
I think it really depends on what their specific focus is going to be here. Now, we did see a lot more Ying play on Consulate than I thought we were going to.
Yeah, me too.
I think Ying is going to be a very important part of Oregon, at least for both of these teams. Legion, I think, is an operator who actually lends himself quite well to Oregon, too, especially if you're on defense. Somebody's going to push down those stairs.
Yeah.
Towards the laundry room, it's very easy for you, we've seen teams do it, to stack up a bunch of goo mines on those stairs. So as the time is ticking down, you're going to run into trap after trap after trap and be able to bide time, because we don't really see any construction pushes anymore. You might have somebody drop through a hatch in meeting to attack on hallway, but other than that, there really isn't too much. So you know generally where they're going to come from. Throw a Legion or 2 underneath that hatch, so even if you're hot dropping, there's going to be one there. And I've liked how teams have been dealing with the pressure on the attack now down in the basement of Oregon, and I think if Sexy Cake can use Legion as well as he's doing today, then potentially it's going to give Encore a really good fighting chance to steal this map away from Black Dragons, as it, of course, is Black Dragons' matchup.
You do have to give a lot of credit for Sexy Cake and his Legion play specifically. In the past, his Legion play has been a little bit, I won't want to say subpar, because it hasn't been less than anyone else's Legion play. Legion in general hasn't been a very useful operator in the Pro League. But yeah, it's been kind of underwhelming. That's a good word to use. It has today seen a lot of use, and it's been very specific. However, they still lost on Consulate. Despite the Legion play, or because of it, it doesn't really matter. They still lost the map. So, going on to Oregon, they're going to have to show us something spectacular. And while I think his Legion play has been good, I still think he's going to be better on Ela. I mean, if you put him on Ela or Bandit, his Bandit play has been amazing in the past.
His Ela was really good too.
Yeah, I'm not. Of course, this is one particular point of their holds to be fixating on. There's a lot of other things that come into mind. Just in general, the roam game hasn't been all that influential from Encore, as opposed to Black Dragon's roam game, they had one round where they successfully stalled up on that top floor when they were defending the basement. If you recall correctly, it was the first time they defended basement.
Right.
They stalled up that clear of the top floor. But all that aside, we'll see exactly what happens on Oregon as we finally jump into the match here. It's going to be Black Dragon starting on attack and Encore starting on defense. What do you think? Top floor or basement for the first hold?
It looks like they're going downstairs to laundry room. So
That's
it looks
the
like
reason.
It looks like we're going to go downstairs as we load into Oregon for map number 2, and they're going to be running Amira, Jaeger, Ella, looked like Bandit as well as a Smoke.
Yeah, a little bit of no big surprises with this operator selection at all. These are all very standard operators for this basement hold. The attacking operators, we're seeing a Glass instead of a Ying, so that's a little bit interesting. You're not going to have the Candelas, but you can shoot through the smokes. We saw this used in the previous matchup today, the Glass to attack that basement using those smokes, just shooting through, and it was actually pretty useful. I think that it will be just as much so in this match. I mean, not much of a big guess there, to be honest.
They're running a sledge.
Yeah.
How does a sledge factor in on basement? If you're this team and you're looking at it, how are you going to maximize the usage of a sledge right now over, say, a Buck or
Remember
a
that
Jackal?
nade from NVK yesterday?
Right.
Into the small closet? If you can hit that nade, which, by the way, is a very difficult nade to hit, you can hit that nade in a small closet of the basement, then that's very useful. Of course, there are Jaeger devices on Encore, and what do you not have? A Thatcher. There's no Thatcher. So, it might not be the best pick from Black Dragons, but they've got a plan at least, I'm guessing. Also, I have to question the lack of a Thatcher when you're talking about using Glass. That's obviously a smoke strategy. Smokes are, so you only have 2 of them now instead of 3, so you're going to get one of those caught, and it's going to really throw a wrench in your plans.
My assumption would be maybe don't hit one of those hatches in Meeting Hall if you don't need to.
Oh, yeah.
Use your Hibana, and then those X-Kairos will burn through the ADS very quickly. That would be my only assumption. Either that or maybe you're going to use those Ash breaching charges.
You know, we talked about a lot of times using the Jaeger needing a buff right now with how many projectiles the attackers have.
Yes.
And I've heard some debate from the pro players about the possibility of having maybe if X-Kairos charges didn't get caught by the Jaeger. Because, I mean, is it useful that they get caught by the Jaeger? There's a couple instances in which we see them, like a Jaeger strategy to catch one of those charges.
Right.
Like on Clubhouse, if you can catch one of those charges and deny a single drop down, that can sometimes impede an attack.
Right.
Hopefully and truthfully. But a lot of the time, it really just comes down to, yeah, there's an extra one Hibana has, and they'll use it for clearing out the ADSs. So maybe that'd be the right buff for Jaegers, making it so they don't catch Hibanas.
It's especially prevalent too if you see a Thermite, for example.
Oh yeah.
If you're running a Thermite and you know that you can use that exothermic charge to be able to blow something open and have the extra gadget or extra projectiles from Hibana, then that of course can literally blow things wide open, if I can employ that pun. Now we get to the final. We get to the final minute, and there's your sledge being put to good use. We only saw it for just a second before the camera moved off. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty typical lobby take. However, every single member of the defense still whole. And you're going to push Psycho down onto those white stairs. It's a smart movement. No ADS eating those smokes up. Julio's going to get a very nice nade on Amira inside a closet. Of course, the Elamine does manage to disrupt them, but it comes a little late. And it looks like it's going to be a constant throw as Panico tosses another out. And oh my goodness, they just keep getting hit. But Julio, PZD, and Kamikaze in what is a very nice team effort as Psycho takes down Panico. And that is a flawless round. Not a single member of Black Dragons perishes. And they are up 1-0, 4 rounds away from being able to represent their country in Sao Paulo.
And that attack coming into the main lobby drop and that laundry room was completely unimpeded. There was nothing in the way from Encore really to stop it. The Ella was throwing out her Ellas, just trying to catch to deny the defuse plant, and she successfully pulled that off. I think she used all 4 of them.
It sure looked that way.
But ultimately, everyone else trying to use their utility to deny the defuse plant got picked off as they went to do it. So I don't know. It's reminiscent a little bit to me of Continuum versus Most Wanted yesterday, where it's just kind of walk down into the main lobby. In this instance, we did have the smoke cover coming out from, I believe that was Psycho, but it's it almost arguably wasn't even necessary because most of the kills were coming from the drop down, if not all, just kind of waiting for the push to come from Encore.
They didn't even have a chance. Encore, every single time Encore even tried to move even the smallest bit to be able to try to put pressure onto a Black Dragons player, it was BD who were able to get that kill immediately. Zero reciprocation from Encore whatsoever, and they were just pinned down. The smoke wasn't able to get any of his toxic babes out. There was really nothing to stop that, and especially after the Miro went down and that C4 was off the board real early, it was tough for them.
And you have to say unequivocally, if they cannot develop a way to counteract that main lobby push, they will lose this map. It will be a 2-0 in favor of Black Dragons if they cannot stop, or specifically successfully defend the basement, if they can't do that. So we'll see what happens. Are they going to try and force out the basement hold again is the big question. If they keep going downstairs and are unsuccessful continuously, then that's going to be even worse than if they went upstairs and gave themselves more time to think about it. All that aside, though, it is now Encore's turn to try and attack the top floor. A little bit different from Black Dragons, but still plenty viable. Valve going to get the first kill of the round onto Kamikaze. That's a good start for Encore. Seems like they're setting themselves up to attack from, well, any freaking where. They can go. They're starting to pressure onto the tower, which is being defended, and that's a big question mark for me. If you're not going to be attacking specifically onto big kids' dorms, do you really need to take control of tower? No, you really don't. And if you're going to be challenging Psycho, who is a player who's been performing pretty well through this match, inside a tower as well as PZD, also been performing pretty well, it's a big risk. If you get both of them without losing anybody, sure, but I don't see that happening.
No, and I'm not exactly certain why you would risk it if you're Black Dragons. Yeah. Why you had Kamikaze trying to spawn peek from inside of Armory just seems like it's a...
Foolhardy?
Foolhardy is right, but it's... I mean, yeah, you could potentially blow this round open. PZD gets a kill on the Sexy Cake, and that is the Hibana down. That is monumental. However, still a Thermite in play. You can see that iBlax knows that Wags is trapped inside of Armory and is just waiting for him to push out. The Ying of Vision is able to pick off the Valkyrie, who you'd see was playing at a tower as well from Psycho. And that is Black Dragons now at a disadvantage. Encore holding in numbers of 1.
There's only one anchor right now for Black Dragons, and that's going to play against them. But the smoke, meanwhile, is going to take out iBlack, so evening it out onto a 3-on-3. And there's still potential here for Black Dragons. Glad's going to be lit up to 1 HP. He'll go down to a single whiff of the smoke or a single shot from any gun. And now, seemingly, Encore's attack has stalled out somewhat. It seemed they had everything in their favor, and it's just been slipping away one step at a time.
And they have a Thermite now, but unless you're going to be able to try to take a Master Take into that closet, your Thermite is basically going to have no real use.
No.
Julio, a pretty crucial kill. Speaking of the Thermite, he goes down, but Glad's still very, very low. And right now, he's just going to walk right in. A double kill for Panico as he takes Wag and PZD down, but that is Diffuser. As you can see, Julio steps up and gets the final 2 kills. A big round from the Mira as Black Dragons looked like they were going to lose this round, able to claw it back, and now 2-0.
Such a nice try. Such a nice try there from Panico, but unfortunately just wasn't enough. He repositioned perfectly. You really got to give Panico a lot of credit there. He was challenging from the top of White Stairs, and he saw that that was just not feasible. Being put onto 1 HP and managing to sneak away with his life, he knew he was challenging a smoke, so yes, of course, there's going to be the gas canisters he has to think about. So moving over to the master hallway was the perfect call in that situation, and it almost afforded them a comeback in that round, but it just wasn't enough. They really didn't apply enough pressure to the actual site itself. Getting rid of those roamers who were peeking out very aggressively was great and all, but they also lost people to those roamers. So I don't know, it was just too back and forth on the roam clear coming from Encore. In fact, it wasn't even really a roam clear, it was just the roamers being sporadic. And yeah, not enough to come back in the end. Now Black Dragons putting it up on 2-0. Again, they're the ones who got that first map win on Consulate, and the pressure's really on Encore here to start to get that comeback. Of course, this is the same thing that happened on Consulate, where Black Dragons put themselves up in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and look at how close Encore was able to make that. Of course, still lots of opportunity. The only thing that would give me any form of consideration that this could potentially be a rout is the fact that this slipped through the ban phase. Both teams obviously very happy for it, but Black Dragons picking a very typical map such as this. I wouldn't be too surprised if it was to go the whole distance.
Map number 3, you think?
Yes and no.
right?
The reason
Okay.
why I'd say yes is because they've been a very evenly matched set of teams so far, and I think Encore is capable of playing better than they played the first 2 rounds here. The reason why I would say no at the same time is because so far Black Dragons has looked good, and this is their map, so I would imagine that they are probably prepared.
So my big thing is Encore's success on the current defense that they inhabit. Because obviously on the first time they defended, they went to the basement. They were, hopefully and truthfully, just unsuccessful. They could not make it work for them. It was very one-sided in favor of Black Dragons. If they cannot successfully defend their preferred bomb site on this map, then they have no chance. It would be very difficult to establish a winning situation in terms of just pure numbers. You're going up to the top floor, and that's obviously not your preferred bomb site. You're going to be a little bit less comfortable there, so it's unlikely that you're going to be able to make that have more success than your basement hold. Now, the good thing that instills a little bit of confidence for me here from Encore is that they're defending this basement in a way that is different than the past. They're getting a lot more aggressive on their roam game, as you can tell. They even have an Ella sitting in garage. That is a huge risk, and it doesn't look like it's going to work out for them here, as Iblax has been found out and finished off. Nice kill there from Wag coming from the garage door. A refract, though, from Panico. That's very important. On to PZD, Blackbeard off the board. This new form of playing from Encore has successfully stalled out this round a little bit, and keeping the man count at least even is better than last time.
You'd see that they were starting to close in as well on the Jaeger of Sexy Cake playing inside a meeting, but they weren't able to really do that. They did get the kill on the Iblax, so that was your Ella removed from the equation, which is tremendous.
Oh, no.
You're going to see a C4 from the pulse there of Panico. Misses completely.
Tried to read into it too far.
And used it a little bit too early as
Yeah.
well. Of course, we have seen rounds get won by the Pulse or the Valkyrie being able to get a C4 off late. Mirrors, too, joining in on the enjoyment of it from time to time, and Julio is going to do some redecorating upstairs. A nice shot from Psycho on a Panico who didn't even have a chance peeking around those stairs, and still the Jaeger upstairs persists. Inside a meeting hall, at some point, we are going to have to see Sexy Cake get back on. As you can see, Black Dragons clamping in on the site, looking to take it all off. Valve is going to get destroyed as Psycho gets another kill, and we'll try to open up those sight lines to prevent Vision from pushing out in the final 20 seconds. The big wild card is what are we going to be able to see from Sexy Cake? Above, Julio is sitting and waiting, and the sledge is going to be their line of defense to prevent from the flank, and he'll prevail. He'll get one, and you can see Julio will push up, a double kill to end the round. Black Dragons up 3-0. That sledge play crucial to pick off Visions, as well as Sexy Cake to finish things off.
So I think that round is really telling of the outcome of this map as a whole. I think it's really going to spell the doom of Encore. That's 2 times in a row now that they've been unsuccessful on that basement hold, and it's a team, any team is hard-pressed to come back on Oregon when they cannot hold either of the bomb sites, at least somewhat. They did put up a much better fight this round, and I like the risks that they took, but ultimately Black Dragons reading into those risks and being in a position to capitalize on what they leave open in terms of the Encore defense. And yeah, no, I mean, it was a good try from Encore. It really was. That roam game had a lot more presence, and it's cool to see, but they still ultimately were unsuccessful. And while the push came in through the main lobby somewhat later in the round, I think a whole minute later in the round, and there was a little bit less pushing power, there was still plenty enough from Black Dragons to see the round out.
Absolutely. I don't know exactly what is completely going wrong with Encore here. It seems that they have no real ability to put pressure on Black Dragons when they start to close in over that hatch, and especially Psycho has been a big worry for them. He only has 3 kills, but the Glass has struck fear into the hearts of that team, it appears, because they haven't really been able to push out, especially with all the smokes that go off.
And you saw every time they did get to push out, they got eliminated because he's actually present. He's not just something you have to think about, he's something you have to be actively avoiding. And unfortunately, they don't have a method with which to do that and successfully deny the defuse plan. Like, for example, an Echo drone, which we have seen be a great counter to a smoke strategy, going into that main lobby attack.
And I am quite surprised that we haven't seen that Echo come out at all so far on this matchup, especially when the fact that the teams have not been having a lot of success. Encore's smoke play has been left a little wanting, and we've only seen the very first round didn't even be able to get a smoke off. So the next opportunity they had, they got, I think, one off before Psycho was able to get that kill onto the smoke peeking around the corner.
You know, utility-wise, the Echo drone, the Yokai, is one of the few ways to directly influence a diffuse plant without exposing yourself physically as a person. I mean, you know, with gas canisters, you have to throw them. With C4, you have to throw them. With Ellas, you have to throw them. With Legions, you have to throw them. I mean, all these things. These are, yes, this is a utility that you can deny the diffuse plant, but you have to throw them. Whether or not you're doing it in the moment is kind of beside the point. Wagon to get the first kill of the round on Sexy Cake. That's very good for Black Dragons. Sexy Cake, of course, one of the performers for Encore. So that now is going to put it in a really bad spot here, potentially a 4-0.
And a Hibana down as well.
No.
You can see Panico will get around the corner, uses his smoke, but not even a chance. Gets out-peeked by a Valkyrie as Psycho gets a kill, and adding to that death toll will be Kamikaze as Iblax goes down. A frag from Vision to try and get Encore back in this fight as Wag is now eliminated. So you've lost your smoke, but that's largely okay because you still have 4 remaining. Not detrimental, even though we're half the way through the round. Valve is going to make some noise as he descends those stairs, and PZD is just waiting for that last audio cue to push up and eviscerate that Thermite. He's going to get shot at from Julio. And now you will see PZD slowly start to rotate. Valve just clueless, gets gunned down, and it's all on Vision as the Ying, who is in tough straits at the moment. PZD runs up, and what a shot as Vision is able to make this a 1v3, but will need a full ace to get this. He has 2 kills on the round thus far. In 40 seconds, they're just going to need to wait patiently and then close in, as Vision is all essentially but trapped inside of that stairwell.
He's got the time, he's got the utility, but does he have the real presence of mind? He's going to be challenging onto Julio, but no, will not find the kill either way. And the C4 from above coming in from Kamikaze is the end note to this round, putting it now on a 4-over in favor of Black Dragons and map point, series point.
Like we said, playoff implications here. Black Dragon asserting themselves on the map that they chose, proving that the map ban phase is so crucial for these teams. Of course, we saw that yesterday as well. We've seen it. How many times have we seen it where a team that they are so closely matched that you can lose it in the map ban phase before it's even started. And right now, after a good first matchup, map number 2 has been a rout thus far, and 4-0 in favor of a Black Dragons team that looks like it has come back alive. And this is the Black Dragons team that we have seen. Now,
what are we seeing again from Encore?
We are seeing a team that has been unsuccessful in defending the basement, basement yet again. So this makes me think one of 2 things. Number 1, they have 0 faith whatsoever in going upstairs.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then Oregon was a problem to let through the ban phase in general.
And Valve is going to disconnect again. However, it is in the preparation phase, so it's very likely that we are going to have a rehost here.
Probably, yeah.
Valve having some computer and or internet problems.
Number 2.
That is his second disconnect, but we will have a rehost.
So number 2 from your list of what that tells you from the fact that we have Encore going downstairs again?
So what I was going to say is that two things. Number 1, they have 0 faith in their ability upstairs, because if you haven't just lost, you've been dominated. And we try to focus on the positives that teams are doing and the negatives equally. But this Black Dragons attack on the basement for Encore has not been close on either of these rounds. It has been utter domination. And Black Dragons has looked, they got what? They lost 0 people in the first push onto the basement, and they lost what? 1? On their second push onto the basement, and now you're gonna go down there again when you've only got 1 kill. From my math, you've only got 1 kill when defending on basement against the attackers, and you're gonna go down there for a 3rd time when you were on match point. So there are 2 things. Number 1, they have assessed and think that something is going to go completely right this time, which I think is unlikely. Or number 2, they have 0 strategies to deal with upstairs, and that is a huge problem, because if you can only defend 1 site on Oregon, your entire chance of winning relies on you losing the other site and hoping that you can defend basement enough to pull out a victory.
It's one of the big reasons yesterday we saw Most Wanted lose on that basement hold in Oregon against Continuum, is because they could not successfully defend the basement, and they kept thinking to themselves, okay, we can fix this, we can fix this, and keep going, basement, but they lost it every single time, 3 whole times, I believe, and ultimately that's what swayed the score. So In this instance, it's another case of, okay, if you can't defend the basement, you need to try something else, or have the wherewithal to adapt in the middle of the match. That's your only choice. You
Right.
don't just get to keep forcing it out and losing it every single time. You have to be able to win the defense. I mean, obviously, right? Mathematically. Yeah, you got to win some of these rounds to be able to win the map. But there's options available for Encore. They can go upstairs. Even if they're not confident, they have very clearly being dominated on their basement hold and not
Right.
able to institute any significant changes to their hold that will allow them to get away from said domination. So I think the right call would be go upstairs. Try something different. Even if you're not confident in it, maybe the Black Dragon's attack is not as efficient on the top
Right.
floor. Who knows? We don't, because you haven't gone there yet.
And even if you lose, you're still likely going to lose on the site that
Exactly.
you've been pushed around on.
Every time.
So if you're in a position where you're losing no matter what, you might as well take the chance to roll the die and catch them off guard. And it's just,
I gotta wonder if it's possible that Encore doesn't have a coach telling them these things, because, having that guy in a position who's like, yeah, guys, it's not working, you're not making this basement hold
Right.
successful. You gotta try something differently. That person, whether it be a coach or an IGL team captain, what have you,
Right.
anybody who cares enough to be there to be able to say that, is an important influence on a team. And I gotta imagine Encore is just kind of getting stuck in their ways of like, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, because I've been there before, and I know teams who have been there before. Most Wanted had it yesterday. Again, just to reference that one more time. I mean,
Right.
it's a situation that a lot of teams have faced before.
yeah, and Most Wanted yesterday too had already said that they weren't confident in their strats upstairs, and that
Yeah.
the entire crux of their basement strategy was to have that echo still be in play, but CTM countered it so well. In this case, there's not even one thing that is really being countered. It's just Encore is really not able to do
Yeah.
much to push Black Dragons back at all, and that has been the biggest issue. And yeah, maybe go upstairs and see. If it works better for you, then go right ahead. But in all reality, if it's not working on basement and you are now facing elimination, this is do or die for Encore. They lose this round, it's over. You might as well roll the die and try something else.
So on the note of Continuum countering that yokai drone from Most Wanted so well yesterday, it was hilarious. One round we had Canadian chase the yokai drone all the way from meeting hall over into cafeteria, and it was like going into the last 20 seconds of the round. It was kind of funny because they're like, Continuum was like, oh yeah, that's the yokai, get that. Do not let that get anywhere near the defuse plant. They completely shut it out. So it was a very conscious counter. It wasn't like, oh, we'll passively just kind of, tuck that to the side. No, it was like, get the yokai drone, get the yokai drone. That's the only way they're stopping this push.
They brought a lot of IQ too.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
that was yesterday. Today.
Yeah, today.
The prospects of Encore being able to come back at this point are very, very small. If you're a betting man or a betting
Slim.
woman, you're likely going to be putting money on Black Dragons to close this out. I mean, you'd have to do something that you haven't really been able to do at all in Oregon, which is not just win a round, but win 4 of them.
In a row.
That is something that a team that is very unevenly matched with their opposition can potentially do that if you, let's say, you've got a team that is a juggernaut that's just really cold. But when teams are this evenly matched, and we've said that one round can make a huge difference, you've now got to win 4 of them against a team that you've only been able to string a couple rounds in a row against, and that's tough. And I mean, even if you do go upstairs, how is Encore going to break this slump? What are they going to employ? Because their biggest problem is that Glaz has been unchallenged. They have not been able to find an answer for Psycho whatsoever.
The roam game hasn't been all that good.
The roamers are getting picked off quite early.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very forceful roam. We're seeing that they're basically conceding almost all of the main floor, and they're holding up in meeting. They're not even trying to challenge in kitchen or inside of meeting hall.
Last time they were in meeting hall, we saw it was Sexy Cake. He was the last one alive, and I believe it was 1v2. And he started, no, it was 1v3, and he started his push just too late. The diffuser had already been planted. They were well situated to counteract his push from the meeting hall. They were just waiting patiently. It was the sledge from Classroom who ended up getting the kill and locking that round out. But in general, that roam game just not changing anything. And then we had also a couple examples where we had an Ella, or not a couple examples, one example, we had an Ella inside of Garage. What is Ella doing in Garage? I get it. It's a little bit weird. But Black Dragons is not droning things. They are droning everything. They are clearing out all the stuffs. So you need to do something that's not going to be a positional, like, curveball. That's not going to work. All that aside, though, all the theory crafting, we are going to be getting back into the match. I appreciate your guys' patience. It will be 4-0 in favor of Black Dragons. And they also won the first map, which means now that Encore is in make it or break it mode. Absolutely. They only have one round here to push it back. And then they're going to have to win 3, of course, subsequently right after. But here we go. Velvet, a seemingly new player here for
that's an odd,
Encore. Maybe a sub.
Could be a sub. Maybe Valvers' second account.
Not 100%, guys, but we'll see what.
We'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
But seemingly new addition to Encore. So they will go downstairs and guard laundry room. Of course, the same site as before, a similar looking composition. The only difference is that last time they did have a Legion. You could see that they were running No Way, or rather Vision was running as Legion last time around, but now a bit of a change. And of course, they did have that opportunity to do that. But still, the site is going to be a big issue for them. And you can see the composition of Black Dragons, so similar. It's going to be the same comp that they use that has been so successful.
So it is the same player, from our understanding, guys, not a sub. But we will be moving, that is, again, by the way, Valveriz. But we will be moving into this round in just a second. Of course, I was taking a little bit of amount of time here to load in. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, as it starts out 4-0 again in favor of Black Dragons Encore on the bomb site that they have been so detrimentally unsuccessful on thus far throughout this match. They're going to have to show us something spectacular here on this 5th round of Oregon.
I'm going to be looking for something new. I figure their roam game, like we said, has not been the greatest when you have all of them looking for flanks, but some very interesting positioning, and I think that's going to be the big thing to focus on, is how are they going to be able to dispatch all of their flankers too, to try and be able to actually be able to capitalize on this, because they're not even doing the primary job of a roamer, and I hate to dwell on this, but they're not even really killing time at all.
Oh, we saw Encore, like, on the first time they defended the basement, right? Again, they weren't successful. They didn't really put a lot of emphasis on that roam game, and each subsequent round of defending the basement, they have put more and more emphasis on the roam game. However, it has, even if the rounds where they put 3 people roaming, they've just not been able to make anything work. On the contrast, the other side, Black Dragons, they were putting a lot of emphasis on the roam game from the get-go of their basement hold, and they also brought a lot of different things. So, for example, they were defending the west side. Encore has yet to do that. They were using Mute to delay the drone clear from Encore, which so far hasn't been that amazing, which, again, Encore hasn't been doing that. So Black Dragons are taking into account that roam game quite a lot more, and it's been helping them on their holds. But Encore has yet to really... I think that's what they need to claw their way out of this hold, out of the deficit that is this hold. But I'm not sure. I mean, there's also the potential for this change, a minor change in operators to give them a little bit of an edge. But even when you had all 4 of the Ellas hitting the diffuse, it didn't delay the plant enough.
No, and you had 2 members of Black Dragons that were
tearing people apart.
Yeah, and now you can see that Valve is going to get first leadoff kill, refragged from Julio. So it's a 4v4 as we approach the halfway point into what is essentially round number 5.
So we've just been informed it was, in fact, a substitute.
So it's not Valve, it is another member of Encore.
Right. We were a little bit perplexed on that. I was like, why would they have a different name? But it is, yes. Velvet is his own substitute player for Encore. So apparently Valvarez having some issues with his connections. Unfortunately unable to make it back to this match. So it'll be a bit of a mid-map substitution.
But is able to make his presence known. And you can see there, once again, Sem is going to miss another C4. Not ideal for Panico.
I have to say that roam game for Velvet was very, very good. That he managed to get to the Twitch means that the mirror windows won't be opened, and that's significant.
Right, and then got a kill right off the bat. So not a terrible substitution. You can hear one of the Ela mines go off, and it will hit the Hibana of WAG. Psycho manages to take out one of the ADS, and what is going on? Panico just exposed underneath that hatch, and Psycho's able to take him down. You've got 1 C4 left in that Mira, but that's really it other than the Smoke. And Smoke, of course, is sitting by the back, watching construction when they're now going to begin their push towards the typical area. A good smoke, though. That's the type of thing that Encore is going to need to do more of. But yes, not the best time, but there's still 20 seconds. He'll soften up Psycho, and you can see Wag is able to get through. The defuse is going down. Psycho gets kill number 2. A huge C4 from Sexy Cake to stop that defuse and manage to make it a 2v2. And that is a big play by the Mira. And you can see now BD is going to get on site. Julio gets torn to shreds, and Kamikaze will have to get out of that site to give Encore its very first round win and hold on for dear life. Still 4-1 in favor of Black Dragons.
So, how did Encore win that defense? Well, there was, of course, the Velvet being that player who was just brought on. He was very aggressive. I like the enthusiasm he put forth there, getting the roam kill, delaying the round somewhat, but more importantly, denying those Twitch drones, opening up the mirror windows. That's huge. And then right after that, I mean, it's all, you got to hand that round entirely to Sexy Cake. Aside from the minor up in the game of the roam, Sexy Cake, Sexy Cake, Sexy Cake. Excellent defense from that mirror window inside of small office. But again, you can afford the mirror window still being there to the lack of a Twitch.
Yeah, and that C4 not only taking Psycho out, but as well the planter and Wag, and by the time they were able to get back on site. Now, one thing I like that Encore did very, very well there was they were preemptive. They were not reactionary at all. They didn't wait. They began to choke off that stairs push before it could happen in earnest. And because of that, you saw that even though Wag was able to fight his way through and start to get the defuse off, it forced Psycho to have to hang back. That provided them the room for the Mira to be able to get out in Sexy Cake and toss that C4 off. Every single time they pushed so far, what's happened is that there hasn't been any pressure onto the glass. He's been able to stand there and just get picks left, right, and center as needed. This time they denied him the ability to do that. And using that breathing room that they created, the space in which to move was where the Mira did strike. And that C4 was able to basically claim the round. Because once that went off, I think most people that watched could have safely said, well, this round is over.
Yeah.
Encore's going to take it, and they did a remarkable job. And I like that very much, and that's what they're going to need now. Unfortunately, here's the issue. Their first successful basement hold means that they will now need to go upstairs, a site that they have avoided playing. We're going to find out if it's simply because they're not confident in it, or if they just had finally figured out that basement defense. But
also, Black Dragons is defending the top floor right now, so there's a big question also if will Encore be able to manage to get past this defense of the top floor, which they haven't been, though they haven't been able to do yet. Black Dragons have been very comfortable on this top floor. The last time Black Dragons was here, we saw Panico come from behind in the master hallway as a west window push came out from Encore, and that push got torn asunder. Despite Panico being very useful getting 2 kills from behind, it really just wasn't enough. Julio was able to clean it up in the end. So the last time the Black Dragons defended this top floor, it was close, but still it seemed like Black Dragons was in control throughout. And
pressure on Julio now here inside of Kids' dorms. And it's a good push at the moment from Encore. They managed to get that off. A nice C4 from Julio. You see that Ying fly through the skies. That Sexy Cape off the map. But they are getting that defuse off. Vision is able to get the plant down, and the smoke misses.
Oh no!
2 quick kills from Encore as Iblacks and Panico now climb in, and Julio and Wag both go down. And you're going to hear that diffuser go off as Kamikaze does manage to get Vision down, but not before the diffuser can be successfully deployed. They've got control of site right now, but it could be a retake. It's a 2v2, both Velvet and Iblacks, and you can see, oh, Iblacks takes a shot from Velvet there. A team kill as Psycho's going to be looking for one. Iblacks gets a kill on PZD, and as Psycho rushes out, Encore manages to string 2 in a row now, and it's 4-2.
You can see here from Encore, they have thrown all disposition out the window, and they're just going straight for very aggressive plays, whether it be attack or defense. Is this just Velvet? Because he seems to be kind of spearheading a lot of this in the aggression, just straight play. What was that strategy? Okay, that strategy was lay down all your smokes inside of west window, throw some candelas in, vault in, and plant. That's all that was happening there. And it worked out great for Encore, which is weird. That normally doesn't happen. But they managed to get another round and put it that much closer to overtime. The problem is, again, we keep coming back to this. They are at such a deficit. They now have to win 2 more rounds. And it's going to be a top 4 defense their first time ever.
We've gone back and forth in regards to how much this actually matters. You're Black Dragons, you're up 4-0, you're cruising to victory, and it's almost like nothing Encore is doing is working against you, and now there's a rehost. How much does that just suck the momentum right out of your game?
Oh, it's just gone.
It's gone. This is a whole new game now, and you can see that Encore is definitely benefiting from it because this looks like a completely different team.
I mean, arguably, momentum in Rainbow Six Siege is not really apparent other than psychological because, I mean, we talk about any other esport, you've got like a monetary thing involved or something, like something to actually back up the idea of momentum. In this game, it's mostly just all in your head, and if you can get away from that, that's great. But a rehost does very much emphasize clearing the head for both teams. So Encore being at the deficit and now starting to get back into it. They have a new player on the board. This is a revitalized Encore team. They really needed that. It was perfect timing, and it might get them into overtime on the second map, possibly a third.
And Velvet coming in has also prompted a complete...
Oh, he's been great.
He's also prompted a complete shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Sexy Cake. Now, Sexy Cake is playing on site. Again, you're going to have Velvet roaming, whereas Valve was playing on site before. So you've had these changes to Encore, who now you have different players playing different operators and different roles. And I don't know if that's what they needed, but it has injected a bunch of liveliness into a team that was struggling to find a pulse on just a couple minutes ago. And that's huge for them. And it's devastating if you're Black Dragons or a fan of Black Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, there's a lot of pressure that's going to be coming from Encore now. I think they've definitely been stepping it up, but I do think that Black Dragons is going to be able to pull this away. I mean, this attack so far, while slow, has been going in favor of Black Dragons to an extent. Now, the extent is that, of course, they are not being contested on this clear of the bottom underneath the bomb site, which means that they'll get it pretty cheap, you know. Sure, they spent half of the round clearing it out, but that's just them being cautious. That time would have been used even if there were players downstairs. The one thing that it's going to take away from Black Dragons is they will not be able to glean a man advantage from this push, and thus, when they go into their inevitable west window white stairs push, they will be going head-to-head with another 5 set of defenders because the roamers from Encore are being so incredibly passive here. They're going to be able to deal with the top of white stairs, though, pushing off the smoke with great use and placement of that Ash charge.
And they're trying to figure him out. Final minute, still on match point. And of course, it is very improbable, not impossible, but improbable that a team is able to ever string 4 rounds in a row together.
We've seen it, but it's unlikely.
But we've seen it, especially at this level, when teams are, of course, this evenly matched. We've said before, it's very tough because, you know, there's a lot of variables that you just absolutely cannot account for. That's why they are variables. 35 seconds, and through the window, now Glaz of Psycho will jump in. He manages to evade a couple shots. Some bullet time as Julio gets a kill, and now Wag as well. That's 2 members of Encore down, and has luck finally run out. But a big C4 from Sexy Cake onto Julio as Kamikaze answers by taking Vision out of the fight. A nice play as there's another trade as Sexy Cake goes down to Kamikaze, and Psycho falls as well, and iBlax is trying to keep this alive, but he's the only member of Encore. A great play, a double kill on a PZD and Wag, and it's Kamikaze from above who will get the diffuser off. The Valkyrie of iBlax will need to retake the site as well as eliminate Kamikaze. And he will have roughly 20 seconds to do that until he comes face-to-face with the Ash. And patience is going to be very key. And creep up the stairs, and Kamikaze just waiting for him to inch around that corner. If you're iBlax, depending on the intel you have, it can be tough to know exactly where the Ash is. He'll give his position away. And iBlax comes in, but Kamikaze, a big kill, and Black Dragons will finish things off and head to Sao Paulo to represent Latin America alongside Font at LAN.
An excellent win there for Black Dragons. Great execution on that top floor hold. A lack of information on Encore's side of thing, having never defended that top floor, not really certain what to expect from Black Dragons, and it showed. No real presence downstairs. Caught Black Dragons off guard in the initial phase of that round. But ultimately, the 5-on-5 went in favor of the team that had the majority of what we would call the momentum in the early stages of Oregon, seeming to favor that map overall. A 2-0, a swift one for Black Dragons. Definitely a fight put up by Encore.